the aircraft commander never got out. And his name was Commander Paul Milius. And if you know anything about the ship Navy, you know that the DDG-69, an Aegis-class destroyer, was named after Commander Milius for his bravery. Saving the airplane until his crew got out. What's that?
You got the Navy Cross.
And he got the Navy Cross, too. He was MIA for a while and then declared KIA because they never did find any evidence of him at the crash site or whether he had bailed out and was captured or what. We just never knew. So, I was beginning to worry at that point because, my two roommates had got shot down and I was doing extra duty with the Lord on my knees, right? But I don't know. On one hand, I was fearful, but on the other hand, I was confident that we'd all make it through, and we did. So from that point on, the Air Force was, they figured out a strategy that would really help us. They would fly an alleyway down the run where we were going to drop. They would drop white smoke. And we would fly down this alley of white smoke with a curtain of white smoke on either side, and that would presumably protect us from any gunfire from the port and starboard, but not necessarily anything from the front. But to make a long story short, we survived the rest of our time. And toward the end of June, we got orders to, oh, wait a minute, I forgot one important story. My own moment of excitement in March. We were, Crew 9 was pulling up off of the target run, and we were at about 800, 900 feet or so, I'm not sure. We started out at 500, pulled up, we were going to climb up to whatever altitude we could. And the next thing we know, the aft gunners were saying, we've got gunfire on the port. The starboard gunfire, the starboard guy said, we got gunfire on the starboard side. And then at that very moment, the propeller on the starboard engine went flat. In other words, the pilot lost total control of the feathering mechanism on the propeller. Now, you know what it means to have a flat propeller out there on the wing? It's like a gigantic 14-foot diameter barn door. You can imagine how much drag that causes on the airplane. It caused us to basically fly like this, and go down like this. In fact, at one point we were at 60 degrees, slipping down until the pilots got control of things. They tried everything. They even tried turning off the gas on the starboard engine, and then they realized, wait a minute, we're gonna starve the jet, so they turned it back on immediately. And I verified all this with the co-pilot about a year ago because I wasn't sure about the exact number. But he verified all the details, and he said the engine oversped to about 3,400 RPM when this happened. Now, why is that significant? Well, that particular engine is rated at only 2,900 RPM, revolutions per minute. And it oversped to about 3,400 RPM for about 2 to 3 minutes. Now, why is that serious? Well, it's serious because that flat-bladed prop was driving the engine, and the engine was overspeeding, and at that point the engine could have froze, and then at that point the prop would have come off and gone right through the fuselage and cut the airplane in half. Whew. That was a worry. But they got it under control. They got the RPM reduced on the engine using asymmetrical torque and by flying at a really, really slow speed just above stall to get back to the airport. The other big problem was we were told to prepare to bail out. We were not out of the woods yet. I remember standing just above the hatch at the nose gear bailout station, and it was a hatch that you would just drop straight through. We grabbed our N-16s and we're sitting there across from the plane captain, and we're sharing a canteen drink of water, and we're looking down and we're saying, no way, Jose, we're at the treetop level right now. There's no way we're going to make it. Our parachutes won't even have time to open. And I think we were praying at the same time, too. But fortunately, right about then, the plane commander said, rescind from the bailout. Hold on, don't bail out, don't bail out. So nobody bailed out. That's good. I think we were all afraid that if we did bail out, that would be it. But they got the airplane under control, excuse me, and flew back to NKP at a very low altitude and landed single engine reversing on a Marston landing runway, which is a trick in itself. So that was it. Now, The interesting part was, we thought we took a hit in the engine from the gunfire. We really did, because the feathering mechanism failed. The most logical thing, particularly after the gunfire was reported, that we took a hit. So we pulled up to the tarmac, and the engine mechanics came out there and they looked and they say, you know, there's no evidence of a hit here. None of these rounds hit your airplane. Well, what caused it to fail? It was just a failure. It just failed coincidentally at that time. Never happened again in a million years. And that was it. You know, that was the end of the story. And there's a picture of the airplane right there. Hoorah! Hoorah! Hey. That's Denny's airplane, by the way, number 10. So, that was my moment of excitement. After that, it was pretty much routine. In late June, we got orders to disestablish the squadron, and we packed up our gear, and I think in 2 days, the crews and the pilots were all gone. We left behind everything else for the teams to come in and bring it all back. We were off transpacking again, flying back to NAS Alameda. When we got there, we were sworn to secrecy. You don't tell anybody what you did or what you were doing, and you got to keep a secret for 30 years. Wow. And we didn't understand why, but we said, okay, we'll keep our mouths shut for 30 years. We won't tell anybody what we did. So let's jump ahead to May of 2008. We were awarded the Presidential Unit Citation in Washington, D.C. for duty above and beyond, for, what's that phrase goes? Yeah, service above and beyond the call of duty. And in particular, we were recognized for our contribution in Kingston. We had a lot of higher-ups. We expected the president to be there, but he wasn't there. We had a couple of Congress people, and I guess a lot of high-up generals who were there representing the middle. And it was a really nice recognition of the fact that we'd done something that was, you know, of real value, and that we had supported KSL's work. And that was our moment of recognition. Since then, we were a very, very tight-knit group. We held reunions every other year. Washington, Pensacola, Nevada, wherever we had a reunion. We were a really close-knit group of guys in that squadron. Unlike any other squadron that I'd ever been in before. So, what do we have? Maybe about a handful of people left for me. Maybe 10 or 12 guys left. Yeah, not too many because everybody's getting up there in age. So, well, the story's not quite over yet. That part of the story's over. But in 2005, a public broadcasting station was looking for some Norton bomb site experienced people to make a movie. Right there. And yeah, you'll see the airplane come up there. It'll come up in a couple of minutes. Anyway, so they couldn't find any World War II bombardiers who were of a reasonable age to make the movie. And so they put out a blurb to or they went on the internet and they looked up VO-67, or they looked up Norton bomb site and they came up with VO-67. They contacted our squadron, and our squadron said, yeah, we've got a half a dozen guys who can do that, and they're still current on the bomb site, and they'd be glad to participate in any way. Well, my wife was at home surfing the internet, shopping on QVC or whatever at that time, and she got an email.
Boy, you're in trouble now.
I know. She said, don't say I did. But anyway, so she fired that email off to me. I contacted the squadron, and I said, I'm your man. I want to fly that B-25. I want to drop those bombs at that Norton bomb site. So I got selected to do the job. So it was a British crew, who was filming this. There was a 4-man crew. We had a chase plane, and we were flying Old Glory. It's a B-25. This is a bomber that Jimmy Doolittle flew off of one of the carriers when he did the raid on Tokyo during World War II. You'll see it come up in a minute, and I'll tell you when it comes up. This was a great airplane. It had 10 50 caliber machine guns on it. We had 2 of them activated. We had a bunch of 100-pound bombs. And we were going to go make a movie up in Northern California. And we were going to strafe the hell out of everything. At the last minute, somehow or another, we got word saying, well, wait a minute, we don't want you guys dropping bombs around here. And we don't want you strafing either. I mean, those 50 caliber rounds, who knows where they're going to go? We went, okay. So we went out to some desolate area out in the desert, and we did our thing. We landed, took our sack of flour, made a big X on the ground. We briefed on what we were going to do. We took off in the B-25, and I'm in the nose of the B-25 using my Norden bomb sight, and cranking away like you know we do. We're cranking away, and we're visual. We're at about 3,500 feet. But let me back up. We were going to do it at 10,000 feet because we needed some altitude. But the pilot says, well, I don't want to go that high. Let's do it from 3,000 feet. And we said, okay, we'll do it from 3,000 feet. So I made a couple of adjustments to the Norden bomb sight. And made our first run, and lo and behold, I dropped the first bomb right on the center line, 30 feet short of the target.
Hoorah!
And I said, let's quit while we're ahead. So the crew and the Brit crew and the chase plane and everybody, and one member was with us, said, well, you know, we got our one good video of you dropping the bomb, it's right on target. I said, well, I guess we don't need any more. I said, yeah, you don't need any more. And I knew I couldn't duplicate that. I just knew I couldn't duplicate that. I said, let's go over our head. So we did. We landed and pretty much wrapped it up at that point, and I got to fly the B-25 home, which was a real thrill. And it was getting kind of dark, and they wouldn't let us land it because it was, you know, getting dark, it was nighttime, and, you know, whatever the excuse was, I didn't get to land it. But it was fun to fly it, and now I can say I flew a B-25 bomb. So that was my 15 minutes of fame. Now, it was made in 2005, and it never got finished until the summer of 2006. And besides my daytime job, I was teaching at the university, teaching math and statistics and whatnot at the university. And my students would say, I saw you on TV last night. Oh, you did? Yeah, on the History Channel. In this movie called Warplanes, which is all about World War II airplanes and the Norden bomb sight and all that. I saw you there. I said, oh, great, great. So for the next probably year, this particular video was being recycled on the History Channel, you know, every month or so. And oftentimes people come up to me and say, is that you? And I say, yeah, that's me. And they, great, well, thank you very much. So that was my 15 minutes of fame. Anyway, that's my story. Any questions?
Hey! All right, stand up, stand up.
Any questions? Anybody have a question? Yes, sir.
When you drop the listing buoys, was all that data going back to the Navy, or was that going directly to the CIA?
Well, the covert collection center,
Top secret.
over at NKP, was very, very secretive, top notch, a lot of horsepower, a lot of generals, and all that information was crunched and became very, very important until. I don't know if the CIA got it or not. I don't know. But any other questions? All right, gentlemen, ladies, thank you very much. Thank you for coming.
Hey, Don, it's dark in here, so you didn't see the hands. I have another question if you can.
Yes, go ahead.
So, real quick, you seem to be a man of faith. Because I gotta ask you, when that Prop 7 and that airplane fell out of the sky the way that it did, shortly after somebody said there's rounds from the left, rounds from the right. I think that's port and starboard, but I didn't go to the academy.
Right.
So if that all happened shortly after those shots, that's why you thought that you actually got hit. What are your thoughts now, or even then when you landed and just talking amongst your crew, that maybe that was like just angels protecting you, and it just forced the airplane into a different piece of sky so you didn't get shot down? Was that a topic of discussion?
It wasn't a topic of discussion, but individually we were all, you know, doing our thing with the Lord, saying, Lord, thank you, I guess you want us to live another day.
Yeah.
And that was our feeling, so. Yes, sir.
Did you mention the jet engines? I didn't hear you mention.
Yeah, the P2 had 2 outboard jet engines,
Didn't hear it.
J34s, 3,400 pounds of thrust in each one. So we basically were a 4-engine airplane.
Westinghouse dump valves.
What's that?
Westinghouse dump valves.
Yeah, they
Explain
got a
why
lot
you
of
had
fuel.
this. It's very unusual. Why did you have the jet engines?
Well, because we were told to operate at climb power all the time on the recips and climb power, full power, 98% or whatever on the jet engines. That was just to have a backup. If we took a hit, we'd have, we lost an engine or whatever. We never did lose an engine per se on a mission. We never had an engine failure.
He'll make an announcement in a little bit.
That one particular prop
Then you
failure
can go
we
around,
talked
you'll
about,
get more.
where the prop went flat, that was the only mechanical incident we ever had for the 8 months that we were there and the 12 airplanes we had. The only one. But those 2 jets were lifesavers because they allowed us to go faster. And if we did lose an engine, which we didn't, but if we did, we had the extra thrust to help us through.
Remember, we had to land at 67,000, so we carried more fuel. So I call them the Westinghouse dump valves.
Yes.
You had to burn down the jets just to get light enough. Light
Yeah.
enough to leave.
Yeah, we had burned down the fuel in the jets is another reason, so we were light enough to land. Any other questions?
Sir, so
Yes, sir.
you brought home all but 2 airplanes on that?
No, 3. We lost 3
You
airplanes.
lost 3 airplanes.
But the 3rd airplane, we lost 2 men, 7 got out. Barney was one of the ones that got out.
Sir, when you were planning your missions on the drops, the drop tracks, did you ever plan to escort? So in case you receive fire, that the escorts could wheel and suppress?
No, we
Kind of like,
We didn't. There may have been somebody up there escorting, but we were unaware of it. But we didn't want to call attention to that. As Bonnie reminded me earlier tonight, it was 2 or 3 months before the enemy figured out what we were doing, that we were dropping sensors. They just saw these airplanes flying around, and they probably didn't bother to shoot at us because they didn't know what we were doing. And they didn't receive it at that time.
did you do mostly daytime drops?
Yes, all daytime drops.
All
We
daytime.
did have, by the way, I don't know if I mentioned it, we had a terrain avoidance radar on the nose of the airplane, which allowed us to fly at treetop level at night. Right. Flying at treetop level at night. We never did it.
We practiced it.
Well, we practiced it, but we never did it in country. We were strictly daytime operations.
Wow.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Lieutenant Valenty, Jack, thank you. Thank you for being here. You got a poster right here, take it home. I know you got an I love me wall. hanging up so you can remember this evening. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your service and being with us tonight.
All right.
You look around and see those